Tipperary panel for 2023. Is there anything that caught your eye? Of course, the obvious one would be Jerome Cahill not being involved. So obviously, whatever discussions were had with Liam Cahill didn't come to fruition. But in terms of what is there, what's kind of stuck out to you?
Yeah, it's just kind of, a bit of surprise to see the panel drop there on Monday night. I suppose we know what is it, 8 days. This is the weekend after next collective training can start. So it's, well, I would just say it doesn't contain an awful lot of surprises. There's no there's some, but there's nothing really earth-shattering on it, is it? It's sort of a lot of what we expected. Plus, what were the surprises? I from the guys that were training, I not know. I suppose I'm a Lura man, but I'd never impose on Bonner Maher about what his thoughts of county. I was surprised to see Bonner's name there again. I thought maybe Liam Cahill would have maybe gone on without him, but obviously Liam has decided that Bonner still has an awful lot to offer. Look, in terms of leadership and setting the tone for the young guys, he's going to do it. And look, we saw with the club this year, he was in terrific form. You look at his intermediate grade, but look, he's still in great shape. He's a surprise. Surprised that Alan Flynn is gone now, to be honest. I thought for the last 4, 5, 6 seasons, very, very solid squad player within the playing group. Look, he didn't have a great campaign this year, but so an awful lot of guys I thought he was a surprise. Not surprised Jerome Cahill is not there. Look, we spoke about it a few weeks ago that the quotes he gave me after the county final more or less hinted strongly that inter-county hurling wasn't for him. So I suppose in terms of there's not an awful lot of the new faces that we didn't think were going to come in. The John Campions, the Podge Campions, the Sean Ryans, Gavin Ryan of Upper Church.
I go through it there, sure. Look, yeah. And to be fair, there's a huge spread of clubs throughout this. Yeah. There's 3 players from Lockmore. They're all brothers. There's, I think, 3 from Drum, and 2 of those are brothers. And after that, there's a fair old spread. So Cahill Barrett, no surprise there. Conor Bowe, Michael Breen, Ger Brown, Paddy Cadell, Seamus Callan, John and Paura Campion, Kieran Connolly, Owen Connolly, Paddy Creed and Joe Fogarty, Jason Ford, Enda Heffernan, Barry Hogan, Seamus Kennedy, Mark Keogh, Bonner Maher, Rona Maher, Jake Morris, Conor McCarthy, Dan McCormack, Brian McGrath, John McGrath, Noel McGrath, Shane Neville. Now he's down as Cratlow, who obviously he plays for, but of course he's from Latin-Cullen originally. Gerard O'Connor, Keano Dwyer, Keano Kelly, Brian O'Mara, Niall O'Mara, James Quigley, Gavin Ryan, Jack Ryan, Johnny Ryan, Sean Ryan, Rhys Shelley, Conor Stakelum, and Alan Tynan. I suppose a couple of the ones that stand out to me there, and for people who wouldn't have seen them that often, the likes of Conor McCarthy. Now, he's been one of, I think, 12 guys who were on that Tipperary under-20 team in 2019 that won an All-Ireland against Cork with a fairly devastating display. I think it was something like 517 to 118, something like that. I think there's 12 players. There'd be 13 if Craig Morgan didn't do his cruciate. But can you tell us about the likes of Conor McCarthy and what you'd have seen of him?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say it's left the field, but I suppose he's one of those maybe not one of the big names you're probably looking out for, but in terms of a teak tough defender, I'm not surprised he's in there. He's definitely a Cahill sort of a player. I think we were probably thin on maybe inside backs last year, maybe on the squad. So he's definitely one that I would think what you're looking at. He's the 23 years of age. I think he had his injury problems in 2021, but he's back. He had a good campaign with Nina now last year or this season. So I'm delighted to see him in there. Look, I think the one guy on that list that you could say maybe outside of maybe say Shane Neville, who we always know he was within the system, but he played in Clare, is that Cahill's scoured the county is Keano Dwyer of Clonakilty. Now I think Keano Dwyer has had a couple of brilliant seasons for Clonakilty.
What sort of player is he now, and what position do you see him?
Wing forward, can score. There's a bit of physicality about him as well. So look, he's, in fairness, looking at that squad, you can't say Liam Cahill hasn't maybe scoured the county in terms of what he's looking for in a player. Look, there'll always be some guys out there who think, oh, he should be in there maybe. But look, he's picked an extended panel of 40. It's like, so look, there's probably, and you're probably, is there a chance Barry Heffernan could be back next year? I suppose if he gets a clean run at it, you're probably crucial. You're talking 9 months. He could be back in March or April, but it's probably going to he'll be doing well. I suppose if Tip gets to an All Ireland next year, he probably has a chance of being back. But you're probably looking at that core 40 is in terms of what he's looking at. Maybe I think Aaron Morgan is a little unlucky. But I just wonder, has that badly broken hand maybe set him back? Maybe he might come in afterwards. I'm surprised Willie Connors is not there. Okay, he had an injury interrupted season. Came back, was getting better as the championship wore on. I would have thought maybe a good pre-season with Tip, he'd get back to his best. But plus there's a lot of talking points. I don't know what you think from it.
Oh, definitely. Like I look at this and I think, right, so Noel McGrath has been named as captain. So I think that's guaranteed starter for the year. Because like in some ways you'd be thinking, is Cahill and Beavens and so on and Tony Brown, which was kind of known for a few weeks, but it's probably only hit the headlines more recently. But like you'd be thinking they're going to build a team that can run the ball through the lines, a little bit like what they quickly introduced in Waterford. And like some people will say, oh, that's not Tipperary's type of game, can't really do that. But I don't necessarily buy into that.
I think Cahill and Beavens will get Tip to play the way that suits the players they have. Like you think about it, Cahill and Beavens didn't actually stray an awful lot from the Derek McGrath style. They tweaked it an awful lot, but they didn't throw that sharp pass and working the ball through the lines. They knew they were smart and said these boys are too far gone playing that hurling to rip it up and start again. I think if we go copying Limerick and Waterford, we're up. We're I think all not, and I think Tip have to maybe go to play to our strengths and try and get around teams that way.
Yeah, but like the thing that I would have said that the Waterford team did under him and what his under 20 and under 21 and minor team did was that they turn and take on the man. So that's what I mean when I say go at teams, and that involves running it through the lines as well. That's not going to happen if you blast every ball up the field. And I'm looking at I was almost trying to put together a starting 15 based on what I'm seeing there. And I was thinking, right, Conor Bowe, if he's up in the forward line, he'll go at his man. Mark Keogh will, Jake Morris will, Andrew Ormond will probably take on his man. Keane O'Kelly and Paddy Creedon, they're battering rams in the forward line. So they're just some of the names.
Ryan goes for goal.
Yeah, so I was thinking that coming back to the point about Noel McGrath, he's obviously not really a straight line runner. He's one of these lads that you're thinking, and you have to always imagine yourself playing Limerick, and maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves thinking of Limerick, but you will have to play them, their best team in the country. Imagine him at centre forward, sort of, pulling the strings and having nothing but runners around him. So that's why I think it would work, because you still need someone who's going to force the centre back to think. Like Declan Hannon isn't going to want him scoring 6 from play, and if John Kiley decides, hey, we're not going to mark him no matter what, then brilliant. Tipperary have someone who can conduct the orchestra. If they go out and mark him, then great space in behind. So that's why I'd look at that. And you know what, you mentioned like even last year the lack of maybe inside backs. And I think over the years, this is something that Tipperary probably haven't had an abundance of. They've probably always just had enough to get by. Good cornerbacks, but always just enough to get by. And I was trying to see who would be the cornerback. So Cahill Barrett, then maybe you'd have Ronan Maher fullback. And I was thinking maybe Seamus Kennedy, who's currently playing fullback for the Footballers, maybe he would go back there. And then the half-back line could be the likes of Brian O'Mara. You look at maybe Paddy Cadell. I was thinking that even with Jack Fagan going back from wing forward to wing back last year, will it actually suit Michael Breen to go wing back because he can drive forward and he's what?
Dan
McCormick, yeah. But just Michael Breen is so suited to bursting out through lads, and he's got serious pace. And if you're up against a Grode Hegarty, for example, can he keep it in physically? So there's a lot of talking points. And Brian O'Mara has turned into an absolute sow, and I mean that in the best possible way.